This is the brain. And this toxic protein, called brain poison by doctors, is the real cause of tinnitus, hearing loss, memory loss, and other serious brain diseases. It breaks up neural connections, causes severe inflammation, and wipes out your memories. Tinnitus is just the first warning sign that this toxic protein has invaded your brain. Next comes losing your memories, followed by detaching from the real world.
So, if you have ringing in your ears, like I did, it means that the clock is already ticking, warning you that you need to act fast.
The National Library of Medicine, the Molecular Biology magazine, the Brain Behavior and Immunity publication, and many other health publications have written about the terrible effects of this highly toxic protein. According to doctors, this protein strangles the brain, similarly to how heavy smoke can make it hard to breathe and cause suffocation. Discovering the true cause of tinnitus has also led to the discovery of neuromodulation, a technique that has already saved the lives of 112,000 tinnitus sufferers and can save yours too. A study from the University of Arizona last year tested 362 people with chronic tinnitus, and the results were clear. It is possible to get rid of it. The amazing thing about the method they found is that it not only stops the toxic protein from getting into the brain, but also gets rid of the protein that's already there. This means that neural pathways can be restored in the blink of an eye.
This approach cured me in just 14 days, restoring my peace, joy of living, and excitement for life. And it's not just me.
Sarah Wilson, 59, cured her tinnitus in 11 days.
On the 11th day, I no longer had ringing in my ears.
Benjamin Taylor was learning sign language when he tried it. He had tinnitus and suffered auditory hallucinations, hearing his name shouted behind him when no one was there. After learning about this groundbreaking research, he got rid of his tinnitus in less than 2 months, and his hearing hallucinations never came back.
I cried like a baby on the day that the excruciating sounds disappeared.
Joshua Thompson of Southampton, England, was told there was no cure and he had first-stage dementia. He now remains tinnitus-free and says,
"My mind is more clever than ever."
I totally recommend this method. It will definitely change your life.
This clinically tested and proven routine will work for you too, whether you're a man or woman, 25, 50, or even 85 years old. Whether you've had tinnitus for just a few days or your whole life. The 7-second method for getting rid of ringing in the ears, reversing hearing loss, and increasing brain power is so effective that it has scared Big Pharma, who've done everything they can to keep this information hidden, including threatening us with jail.
This is why I made this video. Because I wish I had known all of this before I spent thousands of dollars on ineffective treatments and before traumatizing my wife and daughter.
Now, if you're skeptical, I understand. I was too. These doubts are natural, especially after trying so many methods that failed. But now, there's no need to despair, because starting today, you will experience something completely different. No more headaches, dizziness, or nausea, only clear sounds. No more feeling angry, irritated, or depressed, just mental peace. No more late nights spent pleading for a single second of silence, only good sleep. Your hearing will start to improve day after day. Your mind will be much quieter, and most importantly, your sleep will be better than ever. So, let's get started.
Hi again. My name is Steve Brown. I'm 52 years old. I'm a father, a husband, and a child of God.
I'm also a biology teacher and a truth seeker in my hometown of Charlotte, North Carolina.
Before becoming a tinnitus expert, I had one of the worst cases of tinnitus you have probably ever heard about. And it all happened fast.
One day, while I was returning home after taking my daughter to her dance rehearsal, a speeding truck slammed into the back of my car without warning. I awoke in the hospital in the middle of the night to a jarring and unpleasant sound, piercing through my left ear. It sounded like an old kettle whistling in my head, a persistent noise that got louder and louder.
At first, I believed this problem would disappear as soon as my body healed from the accident.
So I asked the nurse for some sleep medications and went back to bed, but it was impossible to fall asleep. The noise was unbearable. I called the doctor the next morning. He examined my ears, removed the earwax buildup, and sent me home. He claimed that the ringing in the ears was due to the sound of the impact and would go away on its own.
Days turned into weeks, and the dreadful screeching noise in my left ear not only persisted, but intensified.
I even heard an extra sound that greatly increased my anxiety. I became irritable and nervous. One morning, I began unplugging all of the household appliances because I suspected one of them was malfunctioning and causing the sounds in my head. Of course, that wasn't the case. My wife, seeing me like that, insisted that I go to the doctor again, which I did. I visited an ENT specialist and told him about my excruciating pain, my hearing hallucinations, and my constant irritability. He interrupted me mid-sentence and told me, "It's tinnitus. These sounds are usually permanent, so get used to them because you'll have them for the rest of your life." I'll have them for life?
I said nothing more because I trusted doctors and listened to their advice. But I was extremely terrified for my future.
The doctor, not really caring, gave me some stress pills and told me not to worry too much. Before leaving the office, I asked him, "Doctor, do you have tinnitus?" And he responded, "No, I do not."
Then I understood why he was so calm when he told me that I would never recover.
I started taking the stress pills and thought that maybe I'd been giving the ringing sounds too much importance. During the day, it wasn't so bad, especially since I had a lot of work, but the worst moments were at night, when I hit the pillow. I had no distractions. There were no other sounds to mask the terrifying screeching. So, the kettle sound woke me up from shallow sleep, making me unable to fall asleep again, until I'd spend hours tossing and turning.
At times, I cried silent tears of frustration and hopelessness, fearful that my wife would hear me. And I really tried to get used to the sounds, just as the doctor ordered, but I just couldn't.
After many sleepless nights, I began to feel tired, irritable, and unfocused during the day. My neighbor, Thomas McKenzie, a retired Army veteran who owned a research laboratory because his wife is a researcher, also had tinnitus for 6 years. He suggested that I use hearing aids and external sounds to mask the ringing, which I tried out of desperation. But after they fell out of my ears a few times during classes and my students made fun of me, I gave up on them.
In fact, after these experiences, I didn't want to go to work at all. I wanted to be alone. I felt that nobody understood me.
I couldn't communicate effectively, and I couldn't concentrate on what my students were saying. Things weren't any better at home. I found myself getting irritated by any toy belonging to my 6-year-old daughter, Evelyn, or any kitchen appliances of my wife's, and I couldn't even keep up with a movie. However, what scared me the most was waking up suddenly at the university and not knowing how I got there, or listening to a student and not remembering what they said earlier.
It was as if my memory was being erased with a sponge. I thought it was due to fatigue, but soon I would discover that my brain was dying with each passing day.
I stopped eating salty or sugary foods. I stopped drinking alcohol and coffee. I went for white noise therapy for 2 months. Results, 0. Nothing worked. The sound only intensified.
And this continued for another 10 months, until one night when I had a breakdown.
The sound of my kettle had been keeping me sleep deprived for so long, and at 4 a.m, I snapped. I got up from my bed furiously and went to Evelyn's room where she was sleeping. I started shouting at her like a madman. I didn't even realize what I was doing. I don't even know if I was awake or not. "Stop playing with those noisy toys, Evelyn, stop!" Evelyn woke up scared and started crying loudly. "Daddy, what happened? What did I do?" My wife entered the room crying and yelled at me, "Leave the child alone." She took Evelyn by the hand and ran to call an ambulance. "Come urgently. I don't know what he's going to do to us." At that moment, I snapped out of it. I fell to my knees and started crying.
I didn't know what happened to me. I know I'll never forgive myself for the trauma I caused Evelyn and the pain I inflicted on my wife, but I wasn't myself in those moments.
You'll never discover the craziest part of you until you hear these excruciating sounds 24/7. A few minutes later, an ambulance came and drove me straight to the psychiatric ward. I underwent several tests and a brain scan. The neurologist, accompanied by an observing doctor from Egypt, came to speak with me. "Do you think I'm crazy?" I asked the neurologist. "No," he calmly replied. "The tests and brain scans look fine. I think it's just mild memory loss and chronic tinnitus." "Doctor, I've had tinnitus for more than a year. I can't bear to live with it any longer. I frightened my daughter, hurt my wife, and embarrassed myself in front of my students. Please help me." He didn't seem very concerned and replied bluntly, "We'll see what we can do. Now you need some rest." Then he left. In the corner, the Egyptian doctor, named Bernice Mina, listened to what I said. After the doctor left, she came to my bedside, looked at me, and smiled. "I think I can help you," she said.
What? I asked, confused.
"You are definitely not crazy. You've just been emotionally tortured. People's brains are not designed for this type of emotional toll. Tinnitus torture is identical to an ancient Chinese torture method that made prisoners go insane in a matter of days. You've probably heard about the Chinese drip method, but you might have never associated it with your tinnitus. The drip method was a form of psychological torture used in ancient China. It involved putting one drop of water at a time on a person's forehead for a long time. The idea behind it was to slowly drive the person insane because of the constant, repetitive, never-ending tapping sound. This method was considered especially cruel, so it was only reserved for the worst offenders. It could go on for days or even weeks, causing a lot of mental and emotional stress for the victim, because it never seemed to stop, just like your tinnitus. Except that you're not a criminal, and tinnitus is not your fault. This type of torture is now illegal and considered inhumane. No wonder you snapped.
And then she started telling me her story.
Her father was an officer in the Egyptian Armed Forces, which were established in 1922 and are the largest in Africa and the Middle East. At the age of 42, he began to suffer from chronic tinnitus, which prevented him from resting, and soon he developed dementia. She saw her mother cry many times during that period, which led her to become a doctor and study the history of tinnitus. The history of tinnitus can be traced back to ancient times, and the first known written reference to tinnitus dates back to the ancient Egyptian medical text, the Ebers Papyrus, which was written around 1500 BCE. The text describes a condition called hissing in the ears and suggests treating it with a mixture of herbs to calm the nervous system. These recipes have been preserved in Egyptian tradition. And while for a long time, Americans believed that tinnitus was an ear disease and should not be treated by an ENT, Egyptians have always considered it a brain disease and have treated it with a mixture of herbs that help the brain restore neural connections. As tinnitus has become increasingly prevalent worldwide, prominent neurology centers in the U.S., such as the Neurological Institute of New York and the Barrow Neurological Institute, began studying the brains of people with tinnitus. These studies revealed that, as tinnitus got worse, certain changes occurred in the structure of neural connections. And after analyzing the blood of tinnitus patients, researchers came to a definitive conclusion that validated the theory of the father of medicine, Ebers Papyrus. The results of a 2016 study by the Department of Physiology and Biophysics at the University of Mississippi Medical Center, which included 60 people with chronic tinnitus and 60 healthy controls, matched for age and gender, were published in Frontiers in Neurology. The study found that all people with tinnitus have a protein called TNF-alpha in their blood. In the healthy individuals, TNF-alpha levels were undetectable in the bloodstream. However, as tinnitus became more severe, TNF-alpha levels were much higher. TNF-alpha, which stands for tumor necrosis factor alpha, is a cytokine, a type of protein that is produced by immune cells in response to infection, inflammation, or injury, and it's usually found in ligaments. Now, if you have tinnitus and get your blood tested, you will see that you also have this protein in your body, confirming the findings of the University of Mississippi Medical Center.
I immediately looked at my lab results. She was right. I had the protein in my body. But what's this have to do with the brain, I asked.
Doctors also refer to this protein as brain poison, and I'll explain why. Your ringing sounds come from a part of your brain called the brain auditory pathway. This auditory pathway is like a superhighway that helps us hear things. When we hear a sound, like someone talking or a car honking, the sound waves travel into our inner ear. The inner ear then turns these sounds into electrical signals and sends them to our brain. The electrical signal travels up the auditory nerve, which is like an expressway, and into this part of our brain called the auditory cortex. This is the central processing hub for hearing, and it helps us understand what we're hearing and where the sound is coming from. However, when the auditory cortex pathway becomes inflamed, everything can get jumbled up, similar to a traffic jam on a busy highway.
So what happens is that not only do you hear your everyday sounds, but you also get extra signals to the brain, even when there's no sounds around.
Doctors call them phantom sounds. The ringing sound in your head is actually a phantom sound, created by the travel of TNF-alpha to the brain. This blocks the sound pathway, causing tinnitus, brain damage, and memory loss that can lead to dementia.
This also explains why researchers have not been able to find answers to questions related to tinnitus for so many years.
Because the brain was once believed to be an immune-privileged site, where immune cells and cytokines could not enter. However, It is now understood that immune cells and cytokines, including TNF-A, can cross the blood-brain barrier and enter the brain. That's why this protein appears in patients with Alzheimer's disease, Parkinson's disease, and multiple sclerosis. So tinnitus is a warning sign that something more severe is about to happen to your brain. That's why it's critical to take prompt action.
I was amazed and frightened at the same time by the solid knowledge of the neurologist from Egypt, and immediately asked her,
But if all these things are now known, why don't doctors talk to us about them? Why don't we have a solution already?
And then Bernice told me something that shocked me even more.
In 2021, the University of Arizona began a trial on 362 people suffering from chronic tinnitus and tested a treatment method called neuromodulation, which was actually designed to treat brain inflammation and thus eliminate the toxic protein TNF-alpha. This is the same approach that we have used in Egypt for generations with our herbal blend, a tradition passed down to us from the time of Ebers Papyrus. And although the results were amazing, the treatment never saw the light of day, and I have little hope that it ever will. No one talks about it anymore, and the universities refuse to go into the details. This happens all the time when promising research leads to the discovery of a new treatment. Big Pharma shows up and stops it by any means.
So they don't want us to heal?
She left the room and returned with a small bottle, instructing me, put 2 drops of this in a glass of water every morning, and please come back to see me for a checkup in 2 weeks.
I thanked the doctor for everything and swiftly squirted a few drops directly into my mouth.
Next, I grabbed my laptop and began scouring the internet for more information about Ebers Papyrus, the brain auditory pathway, and the deadly protein TNF-alpha, the 2016 study at the University of Mississippi, and the 2021 trial on 362 tinnitus patients from the University of Arizona. Next, I found an interview with the renowned PhD and professor of physiology at the University of Arizona College of Medicine, Tucson, who said, "We see a gap between neuroinflammation and the perception of phantom sounds."
Which was exactly what Dr. Bernice had explained to me.
Then I found a study published in 2016 in the National Library of Medicine that confirmed TNF-alpha cells cause depressive symptoms, while Molecular Biology magazine showed that TNF-alpha blockers can relieve depression caused by this inflammatory group of cells.
After reading all these, I realized something very scary.
That TNF-alpha actually changed the function and structure of my brain, and I couldn't help but wonder, how can Big Pharma be so cruel, knowing all this, and only care about their profits, while honest people were truly going crazy from the suffering, especially when there is clear proof that blocking TNF-alpha clears tinnitus and brain inflammation, protects against memory loss and dementia, reduces the number of surgeries needed by people with digestive issues, reduces swelling and joint pain, improves physical function, slows the progression of joint damage, improves gut symptoms like abdominal pain and diarrhea, and reduces the number of hospitalizations by half.
After learning all of this, I experienced a roller coaster of emotions, including anger, disgust, and ultimately joy.
Joy that God sent someone to save me, so that I, in turn, could save others. And after trying everything under the sun, this was my last resort.
If Bernice's treatment didn't work, then I would be stuck with the torture sounds for the rest of my life.
Starting from that day, I kept a tinnitus journal, and every day I asked myself the following question. On a scale of 1 to 10, what is the severity of my tinnitus? I also jotted down my brain fog levels, counted my memory lapses, and became aware of my overall health and well-being.
Of course, on the first day of treatment, I didn't feel a thing, but I had faith. The second day, something shifted.
I could feel the anxiety starting to wash away, and in its place came a calm serenity that gave me hope. By day 4, the ringing in my ears went from being very painful to being bearable. Now, shortly after that, I could barely hear the noise, and all my stress and anxiety were gone. I left the hospital and continued at home, taking 2 drops every morning.
By the second week, a miracle happened. The ringing was completely gone. I had nothing left to write in my tinnitus journal except that I was experiencing a miracle.
And I will never forget that first moment of silence after so many years. I ran to my wife, took her in my arms, and we both cried with happiness. Now I knew what I had to do. I had to find Dr. Bernice Mina, thank her, and ask her to make this remedy known to all sufferers in the world. I returned to the hospital, where I found her treating patients with love and understanding. I asked her,
What's in the bottle?
"My tinnitus has completely disappeared, as of the other symptoms. No more headaches, no more dizziness, no more anxiety. It's like I have a new brain. And most importantly, I haven't had a single sleepless night from the very first day I started. We have to make this formula available to everybody."
The doctor looked at me, smiled, and said,
"I knew you would recover, and I will help you with the formula. But I have one condition.
I was ready to accept any condition.
Make it public after I return to Egypt in 3 months."
I promised her it would be so, but I was extremely curious why. And she answered,
"Because Big Pharma will come after me, just as they did with my colleagues in the trial at the University of Arizona, who also wanted to help people with this effective treatment. Look, I'm not afraid for myself or my life, but I have an 8-year-old daughter waiting for me at home."
I fully understood her, but at the same time, I couldn't wait for the formula to be ready for everyone.
We arranged to meet after hours at my neighbor's lab. Thomas Mackenzie, the one who had recommended that I wear hearing aids and who would do anything for an effective treatment for his tinnitus.
Now pay close attention, because I'm going to give you the details of this healing recipe exactly as they were presented to us by Dr. Bernice Mina, as well as how each of them works.
Step 1. The powerful nutrient squashes your brain inflammation and eliminates the toxic TNF-alpha. Remember, the root cause of your tinnitus is silent brain inflammation caused by TNF-alpha that's damaging your nerve cells and causing you to hear that horrible noise. The only way to fix this is by taking what Dr. Mina called brain vitamins in the form of ginkgo biloba and niacin. Ginkgo biloba was shown in a study to suppress TNF-alpha activity by 68.7%, which was remarkable by itself. Other studies show that the flavonoids in ginkgo biloba virtually inhibited the death receptors of neurons, increased blood circulation in the inner ear and brain, and help protect against inflammation. But ginkgo biloba, in combination with a specific concentration of niacin, inhibits TNF-alpha damage by as much as 95%, making it the most potent TNF-alpha inhibitor, according to recent studies done by the Korean National Health Institution. Also, a Harvard Health double-blind placebo-controlled study performed on over 3,700 men and women showed that niacin protected their brain from memory loss and Alzheimer's development, while greatly improving their energy.
The first thing you notice after taking these nutrients is the immediate lowering of your tinnitus volume.
Step 2. The noise in your ears vanishes and you say goodbye to tinnitus.
Once inflammation is eliminated from your brain, your nerve cells start to heal and regain their strength, and your neuronal networks rejuvenate. This is due to 3 more star ingredients.
The first one is red Asian ginseng. This type of ginseng is also called Korean ginseng. Not many people know about this, but red ginseng is considered the opposite of American ginseng. It has been used in traditional Chinese medicine for more than 5,000 years thanks to several healing properties. It greatly suppresses the damaging effects of TNF-alpha, protects the nervous system, and because it decreases inflammation, it can be used as a therapy for autoimmune disease and brain inflammation. Ginseng also improves memory, controls the immune response and hormones, and reduces chronic stress, anxiety, and depression, which are the main emotional symptoms of tinnitus. Red Asian ginseng not only puts an end to your tinnitus, but also helps your brain function better, improves your memory and focus. The second one is hawthorn, which acts like a guardian and helps prevent any future inflammation in your brain. Hawthorn is the oldest European medicinal herb. It's also the leading healing plant in Chinese medicine and one of the few recognized medicinal plants in European medicine. In one study, doctors prescribed a hawthorn concoction to 80 women in a randomized placebo-controlled clinical trial. They observed that this medicinal plant not only helped improve their high blood pressure, but also had incredible effects on their brain. To be more exact, people treated with hawthorn improved their cognitive abilities, their memory, their logical thinking, and their attention span. The third one is Moira Puama, or the brain tonic that protects your brain in case of Alzheimer's. Studies show it promotes the growth of neurons, helps consolidate memories, while reducing TNF-alpha damaging effects, effectively helping your brain and memory to get sharper and your tinnitus to soften. Step 3. Your mind and brain become sharper and rejuvenated, and your brain is completely recovered.
This is where good things start to happen.
Vitamin E, in combination with Catuaba, acts like steroids for your brain. As you get older, your brain gets smaller, but these ingredients supercharge your brain, strengthen your nerve cells, and give your mind clarity and focus. Your memory becomes sharper, better, clearer. Your brain is now 10 years younger, and your tinnitus is out of your system. Catuaba also helps you to release the happiness hormone, serotonin, which controls how happy you feel every day. By reducing oxidative stress, it helps diminish overall inflammation and premature aging effects. Step 4. You are completely healthy. You have a new brain and a new life.
In just a few weeks, you'll be tinnitus-free. Your hearing will be sharp, your mind will be quiet and peaceful, and you'll be protected against deadly brain disorders.
And because this blend is so powerful, every single cell in your body will start to transform and rejuvenate. With a list of 14 incredible ingredients, all perfectly combined in the right quantities and perfectly blended such that your brain absorbs all the nutrients from the moment they enter your body. This formula is a life changer.
Now, after redesigning the formula, it took another 2 months before we even got a prototype we could test out. And to be honest with you, it was tough as hell.
So many farmers use pesticides these days. It took many days and nights to find the ones that were honest and transparent and could supply us with what we needed. But in the end, we found the best ones. And this time, Bernice Mina suggested that we make it in capsules so that it would be easier to swallow. Nobody would make a mistake about the amount they should take, and this would help avoiding overdosing.
Also, we needed to conduct another test to ensure that this newly created solution would work for others as well as it had for me.
So Bernice gathered 59 people among the patients she met at the hospital, plus my neighbor Thomas McKenzie, who had been suffering from tinnitus for more than 6 years. The goal was to take 2 pills every morning and report the results on a report form. I personally delivered the pills to their homes. That's how excited I was.
Of course, I was also extremely anxious to hear from them and was prepared to hear any kind of feedback. But what happened next took me completely by surprise.
After just a couple of days, my phone was ringing non-stop. People were saying that their tinnitus was finally fading after years or even decades of torture. Those suffering from hearing loss began to hear the voices of their loved ones again, their favorite music, and the birds chirping.
It was gratifying to see that my experience was not unique, so I encourage all participants to keep taking the pills for a minimum of 2 months.
After that, we collected the results and couldn't believe our eyes. Out of the 59 participants, each and every one of them had regained clarity in their hearing and got rid of tinnitus for good. Most people also noticed improvements in their minds, like being able to hear better, remember things better, and sleep better. This was success beyond our wildest dreams. That's when I knew my life had gained a new purpose. I was going to get this formula into the hands of every person suffering from tinnitus and hearing loss around the world at a price that would be affordable to them, regardless of Big Pharma's interest. Here's what Thomas McKenzie said immediately after the test.
It's a terrible thing to have tinnitus. I've lost many nights of sleep, and if I wasn't taking something to make me sleep, I'd never get any sleep. I've had panic attacks, and my head has hurt a lot. I had no hope that I'd ever get rid of this, and yet it happened. I feel sorry for anyone that has it, because I know what you're going through. It's going to change your life.
We called it NeuroRise because it's the only product that stops the TNF-alpha from getting into the brain, while also getting rid of the TNF-alpha that is already there, regenerating neural connections almost instantly and eliminating tinnitus in days.
And despite a Big Pharma representative offering us a substantial amount of money to keep this formula private, we refuse immediately. Today, we present it to you so that you too can get rid of the pesky ringing and other hearing problems.
Now, you're probably asking, how can you get your hands on NeuroRise as quickly as possible? Well, the fact is that just getting this formula made was incredibly hard. Finding the right ingredients for the mix is a real challenge. It takes about 6 months to produce a batch in these conditions, but we're proud of our standards and wouldn't sacrifice safety for profit any day of the week. What's more, the people who have tried our product so far already want more of it. Some don't even have hearing issues, but just want it to boost their cognitive abilities and stave off aging. No wonder our stock gets depleted so fast.
But since you've stuck around with me this long, I'm going to offer you the rare opportunity to buy NeuroRise right now, while stocks still last. But before I do that, I want to tell you exactly how you should take it to achieve maximum results. This is important, and you really don't want to get it wrong.
First, start by taking 2 pills every morning for at least 30 days. A bottle of NeuroRise contains exactly 60 pills, so this should get you through the first month. After a week, you'll begin to see results. By the end of the first month, the pills will have had enough time to really kick in, and your hearing will start to improve. However, it's essential to be patient. This is a natural treatment that works with your body instead of against it.
After that, we recommend taking NeuroRise for another 2 months. This is the equivalent of 3 bottles of NeuroRise.
3 months is enough for neural connections to take place at a deeper level, to eliminate all severe inflammation from your brain by removing any trace of TNF-alpha protein and regaining the full capacity of your brain. So, all the improvements in hearing you've gained by now will be permanent. But the absolute best reports we've received were from people who have taken NeuroRise for the full 6-month course. Not only did it help them with tinnitus and other hearing problems, but it also made their minds and senses sharper, which gave them more mental energy throughout the day. It's impossible to estimate just how much damage your brain has sustained up to this point, or how fast you can eliminate all the TNF-alpha from your brain. It all depends on your medical history, diet, and lifestyle choices.
So, to be on the safe side, we recommend taking NeuroRise for 6 months.
This should be enough to eliminate any trace of toxic protein and readjust your brain so that your hearing improves and your brain fog goes away for good.
Everyone who has undergone treatment with NeuroRise has reported incredible success. These are just a few of the messages people have been sending me since we made the formula available to the public.
Gosh, mine was a static noise, like a static on a radio. It had volumes, at times real loud, other times lower, but never stopped until I started taking NeuroRise. So if anyone has tinnitus, this is the correct treatment. Thank you.
It was bad. I couldn't accept that I would hear that annoying whistling all my life. But I watched your video and it made sense. The whistling, it went away in days, and I wouldn't have believed it if I hadn't tested it myself.
I love hearing stories like these.
It shows that our product works for all kinds of people, regardless of age or the severity of their conditions. All of this with just 2 small capsules per day. That's why I can confidently state that this is, by far, the best natural treatment for tinnitus and hearing loss. Nothing else comes close. Yes, there's always the medical alternative. You could see a doctor and undergo painful surgery and spend a lot of money in an effort to lessen your symptoms. But why not try something else first? Something that might greatly improve your condition without torturing you or emptying out your bank account. As for other alternative healing methods, such as meditation, acupuncture, and teas, they're just not strong enough to treat serious conditions like tinnitus, hearing loss, or memory loss. Spending time and money on these alternatives is a colossal waste. With NeuroRise, you'll be able to see results within 3 weeks at most, and you don't have to worry about any pesky side effects or long-term issues. Now you understand why my neighbor, Thomas McKenzie, initially pushed me to sell my formula for $580 per bottle. NeuroRise is the only supplement available on the market that actually addresses the root cause of tinnitus, and not just the symptoms. Just think about what people pay when they go to the doctor to purchase the latest treatments and hearing aids. I told him I understood where he was coming from. Even at a cost of $580 per bottle, NeuroRise would be an excellent value.
But I wasn't in this for money. If I were, I'd just sell the formula to the representative of the big pharma corporation who came to us, and I would have been set for life. But that's not me.
I know the suffering that comes from tinnitus and hearing loss, so my main goal is to help other people get better. That's all I've ever wanted from the beginning. I wish I had access to something like this before I became depressed and traumatized my wife and daughter, but I can't dwell on the past. All I can do now is put NeuroRise into as many hands as possible while supplies last. Remember, before you opt for much more expensive and potentially harmful medical treatments, you have the option to be proactive and take action right now. If that means dropping the price to the point where I'm barely breaking even, so be it. That's why I won't be charging you anywhere near $580 for this incredible creation. Instead, because you've watched this presentation to the end, I will make you a once-in-a-lifetime offer. I'm offering one bottle of NeuroRise for just $69 for a limited time. This makes it easy for people who have been dealing with tinnitus and other hearing problems to get the help they need without having to spend a lot of money. What's more, if you decide to go for the full 6-month treatment, I'm prepared to give you a 30% discount on each bottle. That comes down to just $49 per bottle. This incredible offer is available today only while supplies last.
Reserve your treatment in advance, and you won't have to worry about tinnitus and hearing loss ever again.
But be warned, once we run out of supplies, we may not be able to offer a new batch for another 6 months. That's why taking advantage of the full 6-bottle offer is your best bet. This way, you'll secure all the bottles you need for the full course of treatment. You won't get this much bang for your buck anywhere else. One tiny investment now can reap benefits years down the line once your hearing reverts back to normal and tinnitus is a thing of the past. Sure, one bottle of NeuroRise is enough to make all that ringing in your ears go away. 3 bottles will go a long way toward undoing any mental damage caused by your hearing problems. But 6 bottles could actually protect your brain long term, boosting it in the face of diseases like memory loss, amnesia, and dementia. Picture yourself having the sharpest mind possible, regardless of age. So, take a good look at the offer we've prepared below this video and choose the one that makes the most sense for you. After you click the order button, you'll be taken directly to our checkout page, where you'll enter your payment details and finalize your order. After that, your shipment of NeuroRise will be delivered right to your door in 7 days or less. This is your last chance to secure a full treatment of NeuroRise before supplies run out. And don't forget, no matter what happens, you're protected by our 60-day, 100% healthy or money-back guarantee. This way, you'll get to experience for yourself just how mind-blowing NeuroRise can be. Within a few weeks, you'll start to regain control over your body and mind. Anxiety will fade away as your tinnitus recedes, and you can start living life to the fullest again. More than 112,000 satisfied beta testers have experienced these results.
And if you decide to change your mind, or the formula isn't working as fast as you expected, just send me an email and I'll buy it back from you. No questions asked.
So, click one of the buttons below and kickstart your healing process today. It'll be the best decision you ever make. Just don't wait too long before you act. Your problems could be getting worse by the day, and there's always the risk of our supply getting bought out by other customers in the meantime. After all, we're offering this incredible product for just $69, even cheaper if you go for the bundle package. And that's exactly what people are doing, emptying our stock in record time. Because of that, we might be forced to raise our price to $179 per bottle, maybe even higher in the future, as the supplies we need get more expensive.
Believe it or not, some people are still wary of NeuroRise, precisely because it's too cheap.
They think it couldn't possibly do the things it does to alleviate hearing problems and tinnitus at a fraction of the price of prescription medicine. And they'd be right. If we charged the same prices as Big Pharma, our product would still sell, and we'd get rich.
But that's not why I got into this. My mission is and will always be to help as many people as possible. And greedy corporate interests can take a hike, as far as I'm concerned. So don't hesitate and take me up on this offer while it still stands.
Click the order button below, and I'll make sure you get your shipment of NeuroRise in a matter of days. At this point, it's all in your hands. You can either leave this presentation, not believe a word I say, or continue living your life as before. You might hope that your condition will improve on its own. Unfortunately, we all know how unlikely that is. But know this, before you opt for much more expensive and potentially damaging medical treatments, you have a choice to be proactive and do something about this now.
So why not take matters into your own hands? Proven natural treatments like NeuroRise don't come along every day. A lot of work and research went into creating this solution, and you are fortunate to be among the first to find out about it.
So go ahead and place a risk-free order today. You'll thank yourself later. It was a pleasure for me to share my tale and this amazing discovery with you today. I think you're ready to get started now.
Click below and stop your tinnitus today.
Still here?
If so, it probably means you have some questions about NeuroRise. So I'll go ahead and answer them.
How does NeuroRise work? NeuroRise is a brain tonic that contains 14 natural ingredients. clinically proven to target TNF-alpha, a toxic protein for the brain that can cause tinnitus, followed by hearing loss, memory loss, and dementia. By addressing TNF-alpha, NeuroRise not only targets the root cause of tinnitus, but also combats brain inflammation that can lead to memory loss, depression, anxiety, and even serious neurodegenerative diseases such as dementia and Alzheimer's. Thanks to its special, clinically proven ingredients, NeuroRise can unclog the brain's auditory pathway, leading to miraculous results. The unpleasant sounds disappear, hearing significantly improves, and the brain starts working at its full capacity again.
Furthermore, as NeuroRise is a blend of anti-inflammatory herbs and vitamins, its benefits extend beyond the original scope, promoting overall health and wellness.
Will NeuroRise work for me?
Like I mentioned earlier, NeuroRise contains only premium quality natural ingredients, sourced from certified manufacturers, and painstakingly tested to ensure they have the highest purity and potency available anywhere on the market.
Plus, it's made right here in the great US of A, under strict supervision in an FDA-registered facility that has the GMP, Good Manufacturing Practices stamp of approval. However, we do recommend that you consult with your doctor before including any dietary supplement into your diet, even if this groundbreaking formula can help you eliminate tinnitus, hearing loss, and memory loss forever. Who should take NeuroRise?
Anyone looking to eliminate tinnitus, hearing loss, or memory loss.
It doesn't matter if you've had it for 1 month, 1 year, or 30 years. If you're a man or a woman, you can naturally eliminate your tinnitus with the help of NeuroRise, even in just a few weeks of taking it daily. Is there a money-back guarantee?
If for whatever reason you're not happy with the results, I'll give you your money back, guaranteed. And you don't even need to return the bottles. Consider them a gift, and we'll part way as friends. Don't you feel more confident when you know there's nothing to lose and everything to gain?
So go ahead and choose the 6-pack, our most popular option, or any option that fits you below right now. Is this a one-time payment, or will I be rebilled?
All the options below are one-time only. I'm against shady marketing tactics.
The kind the medical industry complex uses. So, you will never be billed without being notified very clearly. How long will NeuroRise be available?
Hard to say. I simply cannot guarantee that you will find any NeuroRise in stock if you come back later. That is the presentation and still up by then.
That's why it's crucial to get your own supply of NeuroRise right away. Click now to select your preferred option and start your journey towards healing tinnitus today.
I can't wait to hear your success story. Steve.